Well, hey there, everybody. How's it going today? Carpo here once again. And my wife just left for work about a half hour ago, and fortunately, I didn't get a phone call saying she was stuck on the side of the freeway somewhere. So that's a good sign. As many of you know, our car was stolen a week or so ago, and after getting it back, even though it was already trashed, they trashed it even more, messed with the lock. There were a variety of problems. The ignition was screwed up, and I was just like, at one point, we were just like, let's just leave it at the damn tow yard. But we'd already paid for the tow fee, and it was like $300, so let's just pay another 200 and get it home, right? So we're already 500 in the hole for something that doesn't run. And believe me, I'm getting to a point here. Um, you know, it gave me a kick in the ass. Not only did it really piss me off that people had come into my driveway and stolen my car, obviously. I don't think anybody alive would just be like, ho hum. But it lit a fire under my ass that I've needed for a while. We need to face some sort of adversity, problems, stress, negativity in our lives in order to move forward and to take initiative. And this is something that I've mentioned several times in videos, but that when we become passive, too passive, and life becomes too easy. You know, we sit there and we scroll through our phones and sit on the couch or, whatever it might be that we're doing that's not really, we don't consider productive. I think if anything, it's not necessarily a waste of time to do these things. It's very subjective, but when you're doing something and you know you should be doing something else and you feel it in your gut, I don't know how we just fight and ignore those things. We tend to just suppress them. Oh, we'll just keep on our dopamine rush here. So, at any rate, so I got up this morning. I mean, it's 11 a.m. right now, and I've already earned a beer. I don't usually have a beer this early in the day, but I'm rewarding myself for my efforts. I got up today and for the last 2 days, and I've been out there working on the cars, and it's not just her car. Once her car broke down, I realized my other Honda has been screwed up. I had a problem with the oxygen sensor, tried to replace it, something went wrong with the coil, ended up having to replace it, then it sat too long, so the alternator was frozen, so I had to replace that, and once I got all that done, now there's a manifold leak and there's an idling problem. It's one thing after another with cars, and I know somebody may say, just take it to a mechanic. Believe me, I have the worst history with mechanics. I mean, even people I've hired to come work on the car here or taken it to, they're always trying to talk me into crap I don't need, but more than that, I've had people ditch out. One guy just left, never brought back my wheels. Just nightmare experiences with mechanics. And I know enough about cars to be able to know that I could fix it myself. I have all the Haynes manuals, all the guides, and I know I can do it. But when I look at it, let's just say you're sitting there on a kind of a cold, rainy day, and you look out in your driveway, and you see a couple cars that aren't working, and you're like, God, how am I ever going to get motivated to go out and actually work on these things, right? Then something happens to where you're motivated or forced or whatnot to go out and repair something. And all of a sudden you find you're repairing other things. And next thing you know, you're feeling really good about yourself. So, I don't know if I mentioned this previously, but as our car was stolen, I mentioned that I looked underneath and at least they didn't steal our catalytic converter. Well, yesterday I finally got the car started. They stole our battery too, so I had to get a new battery, charge it up, get it in there, and then the ignition was broken. So I finally made a jiggler key, got the ignition to start, turned it over and started and went brrrr. Instantly knew that the catalytic converter was gone. It was just like heart sank, right? I got out and I looked, and on the passenger side, I realized that there's one on each side on the Honda Passport. So they only took one of them. And I thought, how am I going to do? I don't want to go out and spend hundreds of dollars on new parts and catalytic converter. I'm just going to go down and I'm going to buy a $10 straight pipe, flexi pipe, and I'm going to clamp it on there. I tried it. It was leaking a little bit, so I used this other stuff to patch it. That didn't work. So this morning I went out and bought muffler tape, this special heat tape, put it on there, tried it again, and finally got it to work. And you know what? Without the catalytic converter, as they'll mention, you have a little more horsepower at low RPMs, but it doesn't sound really any worse, as long as you have the muffler sealed. But anyhow, I got that done, but yesterday I also cleaned out the whole car. I vacuumed, I scrubbed all the console and everything. I scraped all of the stickers off of the back window, all the Grateful Dead stickers and stuff that were peeling over the years. Then I went in and I grabbed all the components and parts to try to put them back together. I took out the door locks and I tried to clean the contacts to make sure everything was working properly. And when I stepped back and looked at what I'd done, I thought, this just took a day. Not even a day, but I've turned this complete piece of junk that in my mind that it was a complete piece of junk into something that functions, that my wife just drove to work. And I think this is everything in life. This is all of the things that we face in life. This is that phone call that you need to make to your kid's school or to the government or some agency, or maybe it's to a friend. Maybe it's just getting something over with that we've had in the back of our minds for so long that we need to finish, that we need to do. I also, in the meantime, while I was waiting for the muffler to dry, I went down and I bought a kill switch for my Honda Accord. And I went and I wired that whole thing into my Accord. So now I have a fuel cutoff switch in a very hidden location that's not going to be found easily. And so basically I get out of my car, I just hit the switch and it shuts off the fuel pump. No worry about somebody driving off with it. Unless they really want it, they'll figure it out. But so I went from having 2 broken cars to having 2 functional cars. We actually have the school bus, which I've been picking. I pick my kids up from school in a school bus. It's pretty funny. I drive up and the kids look at me like, what? It's got Grateful Dead stickers all over it, you know, and it's obviously not a school bus. It's funny, on that note, it's kind of like a mixed feelings. Like, is it cool to get picked up in a school bus? And at what age does it become not cool? So, for example, my 9-year-old loves it. My 12-year-old might be like, Dad, picking me up in a school bus, come on. Fucking hippie parents. But, you know, at any rate, I guess this video was more intended for a couple of things. For me, first off, to just kind of lay out the progress of what I've been doing and fixing my cars, but in the sense of conveying a message to all of you, things that you already know, that there's that one little car you need to fix in your life, whatever it might be. You know, even putting these little clamps on this couch, which was, you know, they kept slipping apart. My wife bought these little clamps. I'm like, it'll only take 5 minutes to put the damn clamps on, but I just don't want to deal with it. I finally did it, and it took, 10 minutes to do. Why is it that the most difficult things in life are the simplest to actually accomplish? It's very strange. And mind you, I'm a hard worker. When I bust my ass, I bust my ass. And but it's just a matter of getting that fire lit so we can do it. At any rate, it feels good to get things done that we know we need to accomplish. We all know this, but somehow and for some reason, we continue to waste time on things that are totally non-productive. It's probably a side effect of a society that allows us to have too much free time. And it's our choice to fill that free time with something that we feel good about. Talk to you next time. Peace out.